All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom here with George.
It's serious George.
We got serious George today. Okay.
Serious.
Hello, Alex.
This is financial stuff, and we need to be serious.
This is all very serious stuff, but it's not financial advice.
This is financial stuff.
Hello, Wolf
Stuff.
Capital.
Stuff, I said stuff. Tom. Tom. Who thinks
Barry. Hey,
Bitcoin's
Darren.
going to break out today? I need to hear Alex say it.
I'll wait. Hey, Seth.
Who thinks Bitcoin's breaking out
Hello,
today?
Steven, Gorilla,
It
Space
seemed
Oddity.
like it was getting ready to break out.
Martin, welcome everybody. Sorry, George, I'm just welcoming while you're talking.
No, you're okay. I'm just telling you, I don't think it's going to break out.
Well, let's
But
see
it
what
did break out.
what
It made
do-
it above your line, right?
What do the people think? Yeah, we'll go through. In my opinion, we're testing right now, and I feel like we need to go 4 hours.
Puffing and puffing, yes. My last, how many weeks has it been now since the hell is broken?
Hey, Steven, if I missed you,
Space
Adam,
Core Scientific
Craig.
plus BlackRock. Do we know something that I don't know? Question mark?
I don't know. I know Space Oddity asked that question. I just got to it in my comments section, and it's something I got to dig into. There is a relationship there. There's no doubt about it, but I remain confused at the moment. So I definitely will look into that. If anybody knows anything, feel free to drop it in the chat. I mean, there's a relationship, but it's like BlackRock has a little bit of money in everything. Like, find something they don't have money in. And it's
very
such a
troubled
small.
I am. That's my Yoda. Did you like it?
That was clearly your
troubled.
Yoda.
Very troubled I am.
Adam, cheers. Alex, while the Federal Reserve has made no decisions on whether to pursue or implement a central bank digital currency or CBDC, we have been exploring the potential benefits and risks of CBDCs.
Does
Is
anybody
that a
else get
statement that
confused?
came out?
Does anybody else get confused about CBDC and think it's marijuana? Or is that just me?
Those are different initials.
What's the different? Which one's different? CBDC with CBC or something like that?
I see you.
Is it? No, it's not. There's like, I don't know. CBC.
Here, somebody's asking about the CPI. Maybe that's it. As soon as CPI comes out, we will rally, says Martin.
When does that come out?
I don't know. It's usually the middle of the month, so probably somewhere in the next week and a half.
CBD. Yeah, CBD. That's what always messes me up. CBD. Only thing, I'm not going to say anything about the moon. I'm just going to sing a song. Moon River. When's the full moon, everyone?
My sources have told me that the full moon might be today. I can't.
Yes.
I have not verified that myself.
When is the full moon? That's what I need to know.
Decentralization is saying next week.
The full moon?
I don't know if that was in response to the full moon.
The full moon's today. He's talking about the CPI.
CPI next week.
Yeah,
Oh, that could get. Yeah, that CPI is going to be interesting, and then February 1st we got another Fed meeting. So, I mean, there's some stuff coming up.
So what's good for the market, Tom?
What's good for the market is for the CPI number to go down. I mean, we're looking for that to go down so that it's all about the Fed. All of these data points are all about the Fed, and nobody wants the Fed to press the panic button and, go places that they didn't think they were going to have to go. So we just want to see things trending in the right direction. I can look up and see what the expectation is, but it could be under 7 this month, I would think.
I love Forrest Gump. Because life really is like a box of chocolate.
Did George? That's right. Eastern Digital. Thank
Tom,
you.
are you gonna talk about the thing from the person that told you about the thing, or no?
The first thing or the second thing?
The second thing. We can't talk about the first thing. That's too big. I just want to know one thing. Does anybody find it interesting? Is BlackRock, is that Larry Fink?
Yes, it is.
So why would he loan money to Core?
Well, I can't answer that.
Does anybody know why would he? Because they don't really have a good, that thing I can't say.
Yeah, the words and letters we're not allowed to say.
Yeah, they don't really have a good one of those things I can't say. Do you know what I mean, or no? So I just always find it interesting.
Well, and they're invested in Marathon, and they're invested in now. To Marathon's credit, they shut down their coal mining facility, and they say they're going to be 100%. Oh well, we're already past the end of the year, so they said they were going to be 100% carbon neutral by the end of 2022. So
did they put out a thing saying they achieved it?
I did not see that press release. So and they did put out a press release. I just made a video on Marathon and posted it like 10 or 15 minutes ago. So that was a little late, but I got to it. So don't leave the live stream. It'll still be there after. And the trading week's over.
Wow.
But I expressed my good news, bad news with Marathon.
So if Core gets relisted, would that help their stock?
The problem is, what happens in a Chapter 11 is you'll see their stock ticker got a Q at the end of it. They are now an over-the-counter stock. But the thing is, until they've settled the reorganization, we don't know if there's any money left for stockholders. So it is entirely possible, and frequently happens, that there's just zero left for stockholders. So the stock's not worth anything. And to me, their balance sheet looked pretty bad. So that's just my personal opinion, although I think the fact that they're in Chapter 11 reorganization would support that. And I don't know how much money. I mean, they straight out already said the majority of stock is going to go to the debtors. So right now, the debtors have none of the stock. They're going to end up with a majority of the stock. So
even if you bought it right now today,
yeah, you're still just buying
a hope, a win, and a prayer.
It's a gamble. Listen, sometimes it goes the other way, and all of a sudden, they come up with an outstanding solution in Chapter 11, and they come out stronger. I mean, Hertz is an example of a company that, they were gone, and now they're, and I haven't looked at them in 4 or 5 months, so if they've crashed since, I don't know, but they made a gigantic comeback through this process.
That's interesting.
Hello, Kyle from Quebec, or Quebec as it is also known.
We're back. Quebec.
I've heard it both ways. Eastern Digital says, I want to know both of the things. Well, we definitely can't say both of the things.
No, maybe we're giving one of the things, not both.
Adam is asking, is Bitfarms in trouble delisting from the NASDAQ? Adam, my answer, and this is not a fact, this is my opinion, I do not think they're in any trouble at all. I don't think they are on the path to being delisted. I think there's many steps between now and then. So it's certainly not imminent. I can answer that. It's certainly not imminent. And I actually, and again, this is just my personal opinion, I actually expect that stock to get back over $1 all on its own in the 180-day period that they have to correct their problem here. They're out of compliance. They need to get back into compliance. They have 180 calendar days to do so, and I think that in that time their stock's going to get back over. I don't even think they're going to have to do a reverse split, which is always an option. I did do a separate video on reverse stock splits. So if you haven't seen that and you have strong feelings about that, I would check that video out and let me know if you agree or disagree. But for me, I am not worried. I'm not worried about Bitfarms.
I'm worried.
Obviously, there's risk. I mean, they're trading down at 50-something cents. So, you know, they're down 90+% over the last year. And so, you know, it's fair to be concerned, but I don't see anything. The financial information we've been getting from them over the last 90 days, it would appear their financial condition is moderately improving. So that doesn't mean they're out of the woods and all is well, but that's what it looks like to me. Alex is saying the latest 17 million is a part of the new 75 million convertible notes, which are part of Core's prearranged bankruptcy process. The filing says in a prearranged bankruptcy. Oh, okay. So there you go. So that's 75 million from BlackRock. And those are convertible notes, so that may be where a lot of the equity is going to end up.
Convertible, huh?
Space Oddity saying Marathon kicked Celsius out of its farm. Seth saying Coors hurts my soul. I know, Seth. That was a tough one. That was a tough one, and they took their shot, and they, more so than anybody, they took a much bigger risk than everybody else. They had more debt than anybody else. They scaled up to on a level that dwarfed everybody else. So, you know what? Had the price of Bitcoin gone a different way, even just a little bit, they might have been just fine, but this was one of the very bad case scenarios. I mean, we're still under $17,000 right now, so. And it's not even so much the interest that was rolling them over. You know, once that principal starts to come due, the debt service makes things impossible. And they had, I mean, I think they had the better part of $1 billion in debt. Martin said, so I have to wait until Tuesday to find out what we can't talk about. Yes, that's exactly right, Martin. We can talk about it on Tuesday. Thank you. Justin saying top 3 on your buy list for miners at this moment, please. So I can quote from my own video. I did a top 4/top 8 miners in my opinion. So that's really the first opinion video that I've done where I listed my personal top picks. Most of the rest of them have been based on some, exahash or number of Bitcoin mined or liquidity. This one was just straight up my top 8. And my top 3 were Riot, number 1, which based on their monthly operational update for December, I stand by. CleanSpark, number 2, same thing. I think they had an excellent monthly operational update. Hut 8 was my number 3. They have an operational update. I have not done a video on that yet today. That came out today, so I'm not going to say anything about that other than I would say I think they're still headed in the right direction, but I was disappointed with their operational report today. And then Bitfarms was 4th, so, maybe those flip-flopped. What about you, George? Oh, he might be on a call. I think George is currently on a call. Patient Bill, hello. Gorilla said, Gorilla bought more CleanSpark today. It's a steal at this price. And Adam G is saying Bitfarms is my one and only. So I like to have, because I'm heavy, I'm overly invested in the Bitcoin miners. For that reason, I have a diversified portfolio of them. So at least I feel like I'm mitigating my risk in some way. So if it was just a normal position, you know, I'd pick my number one. But because I'm heavy in that, I've got 4 major positions, and I do have a little bit. I got a little bit of stronghold still, and there's 3 or 4 that I think are very interesting. I don't think everything on this list is going out of business. I do think some of them are, and you know, we don't know when the pain is over, but oh, the US dollar. Wow, I didn't even notice that ran down. It was at like 105, the DXY, when I looked in the middle of the day, and so I don't know what happened there. That was from Barry. It's got to break through. I'm going to go to that chart. I mean, this is ridiculous. This green line, I can't be on the 15 minutes here. That's not of any use. So this is the 1 day. So this is the DXY. Essentially, this is how the dollar is doing versus the other currencies in the world. For those of you who don't follow this, a lot of you I know already know this. This line at 103, almost 104, this was a 20-year high. So when we crossed over that in April of 2022, you know, and then we went under a little bit, and then we crossed over it for good in June of 2022, that was a bad sign, and it ran up for months and months from there. Now it's running down, but it's finding support here at this. This was, you know, this was literally a 20-year high. So now for that 20-year high resistance to be support, I think everybody would be better off if this dropped down to 100 or 98. Because for as long as it's hanging out here, but I think we need to see some progress on some of the other things, inflation, etc. But you can see it just keeps getting right down here. And it's right there right now. I mean, it's almost exactly at the green line. So that's one of the things I do think for the year 2023, that is one of the indicators we should be looking at. So in the year 2023, if that stays above 104 all year, then this is probably not going to be a great year. If it can break below that, and it doesn't have to crash below that. If I just go out a little further, like even this is the, what is this? This is the end of 2021, the beginning of 2022. It was at 96. Great. If it could get back there, even if it could get in here, I think that would be a good thing for the market, in my opinion. Let's see. Bitcoin Rule says, any thoughts on Canon? I'm worried about Canon. I don't know if I should say I'm worried about Canon. They're just not. I would not invest in them versus my top 8 Bitcoin miners. I would not put them ahead of any of those. Because Canon is still mostly, remember, that is still mostly a hardware play. They do mine some of their own Bitcoin now, and they may head towards more and more of that. But it's mostly a hardware play, and right now, the ASIC machines, the price of those machines have just plummeted. And from the indications that I'm seeing, and I'll tell you, my inference from what Hut did in December is that they don't think the price of the Bitcoin ASIC machines is done going down.
I'm back, Tom, by the way.
Welcome back, George. Your top 3 stocks, your top 3 Bitcoin miners is what you missed.
Oh, CleanSpark, Riot, who's the number third? I don't want to say Bitfarm anymore. I'm nervous for some reason about them. You know that?
You got CleanSpark 1, Riot 2?
No, you gotta put Riot. I mean, I still think Bitcoin's going down. Do you know what I mean? Just so you guys all know, I still think that we haven't reached the bottom.
Okay, so that's a better question because there's no point in picking your top 3 Bitcoin miners if you think Bitcoin's going down. So let me go back to the Bitcoin chart.
I mean, I think
This is the 15-minute. Let me go to a larger
everybody
time frame.
agrees on those two, right?
I would not say everybody agrees. I think
Well, and I mean, I know because CleanSpark, I mean, if it goes, it just depends on how far it goes, how low it goes, right? And then how long it stays there.
there's also some other. I'll tell you this: the love 'em or hate 'em pick of all time is Marathon. There's a lot of people. Let me know if anybody on the stream today has Marathon as number 1. I know Mike does if you're here. I'm not sure if Mike Robinson is here yet or not. He's not alone. There are a lot of people that have Marathon as number 1. Having said that, there's just as many people have them as the worst miner. They're like the Dallas Cowboys of mining. You love them or you hate them.
So, but what's the parameter? Biggest return from today?
Yeah, I think you got to balance out biggest risk reward upside, right? Because there's obviously risk always, but which one do we think, given the risk, given a reasonable amount of risk, which one has the most reward? That's how I do it.
Okay.
Jeff is saying CleanSpark, Riot, AMD, everyone else.
Okay, my third is going to be a very, I don't know if anybody's going to agree with my third.
Well, let's hear it.
And this is a gut check. This is not from anything else except talking to the CEO of the company. That's why I'm doing it. You ready?
Let's hear it. Drum roll.
Any
Sphere 3D.
If it's for biggest return, I'm going with any.
Eric is saying, LOL, not Marathon.
But remember, guys, I picked Lux. I did make a lot of money off of Lux.
Lux did not do so well, but you did well on Lux.
Yeah, I did. But then I didn't tell you the end of that story, by the way. I took the profit that I made and put it back in it and lost it.
Oh,
so it's not like I lost anything, but
so you got back down to 0.
Yeah, but BTBT. I mean, that's the thing. There's a lot of like companies out there that could be shockers.
Okay, so here, Patient Bill is saying, I don't agree. I think CleanSpark's a bit dodgy. Yeah. And they got lucky entering the game late. So, yeah, there's not consensus. Space Odyssey is saying the largest 3 are Riot, Marathon, and Core. So that's true. Although they're not the ones that mine the most Bitcoin. CleanSpark and Bitfarms. Well, Riot mined the most Bitcoin. Core Scientific mined the most Bitcoin every single month, all 12 months of December of 2022.
A company's not even in business.
But being that they're in bankruptcy, reorganization, and they're being traded over the counter, and the future is even more unknown than for the rest of these. Let's see. Sour Melon Gaming. How does Hut buy any machines when they only have 33 million in cash? I feel they are in trouble if they can't find a way to add exahash before the halving. I think so. Sour Melon Gaming. Hut absolutely, and I'm inferring this. And we've talked to them on the channel several times. Sue has come on a bunch of times and talked about this. So to a certain extent, they've talked about this. They think they made the right move. They called this crypto winter first, and I think they don't think it's over. So I think they are waiting. And
I can tell you, I don't think the Bitcoin conference thinks it's over.
You don't
I think they pushed it back for a reason. They moved the Bitcoin conference down in Miami to May, to the last week or second week in May or something like that. Do you remember what it? And I think that they're waiting. The reason why they're doing that is because they know.
Maybe that'll be a good time to invest, not financial advice. If everybody could please, this is a public service announcement. If you're on the stream, if you could smash the like button, I would appreciate it a lot. It helps get more people on the stream, and that's always a good thing. We try to get back to 100 people concurrently, and we're not there right now. Not that we don't appreciate the 71 of you that are there. You're all wonderful, great
friends. Did you hear me?
Yep. Bitcoin Rule says I have 50K in Hut, 25 in Riot, and too much in Canon. Gorilla Marathon just mined 6 blocks in 17 hours. They seem to be mining more now. Yes, but if you look at the last 6 days, it's hit or miss. With Marathon, it seems like they turn their machines on, they turn their machines off. So I don't know what to make of them. Gary is saying Marathon must be diluting massively in December. Poor existing shareholders, probably we will learn dilution was major because of their price collapse. And Gary, I would also add to that, I agree with you, because they paid off $30 million of their line of credit. So they hodled 100% of their Bitcoin, so the money didn't come from there. They didn't go get any new loans, so the money didn't come from there, I don't think. So that just leaves stock dilution. So, and I'm not even saying I have a problem with it, because I think they needed to get rid of that $30 million, like, big time. But I think, yes, probably the most likely way they did that was through stock dilution. Two people pressed the like button.
Here,
George, is it me or is it you?
I didn't do it.
Who don't they like?
It's you.
It's me. It's not you, it's me. Hello, Malik. Welcome. Me. Eric said Mara just keeps diluting. Gary, Marathon mines heavily for a day or two, then 4 days averaging 1 coin. Same pattern for the last 2 months. Yeah, I think Gary's exactly right on that. It's almost like once a week they show everybody, listen, we have the machines, we can mine this much, but then they turn them off the rest of the week. I don't know what their cost is per coin. I mean, I know what it is on their financial statements, and it's extremely high. But I always assumed that was going to get better as they scaled up. But maybe they're purposely holding back and self-curtailing because it's just cost too much money at Bitcoin 16,700.
Well, I would think that's going to be their answer.
But they won't. They don't say that. They're just doing that. What?
I'm reading what Alex just wrote. Yeah, I know. That's one of the reasons why I think Silvergate Gorilla. I have a problem with my R's and L's, just so you know. Silvergate. That's the reason I think Bitcoin's still going down.
I'm just reading Alex's too. Yeah, I don't think Fred and George are going to be. You want to be in on the?
I don't want to ruin your channel, Tom. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
I think Fred will never be the same if he has to go through a George interview. I'm not sure he can handle it.
I have a question. Has anybody, like my wife and I, we went out to dinner the other night.
I invented it's not you, it's me. Sorry, I had to interrupt. That was a Seinfeld reference from Phone Book Son.
It's not you, it's me.
That was George Costanza. If it's anyone, it's me.
It's definitely you.
Thank you, everybody. We just got a bunch more likes. I appreciate it. It helps a lot.
I don't know, Fred. I mean, at the Bitcoin conference, when we were talking, he wasn't listening.
Well, to be fair, we weren't anywhere near him at the time, but...
What are you talking about? We were like 6 feet away.
Yeah, that's not having a conversation.
Yeah, George versus Fred, cage match.
No, we do
Wall
not want to
five,
see
baby.
that. That's
Did you see it?
that would last seconds.
Yeah, I'm pretty strong.
Nobody's seen George in real life, but George is very, very large individual, and he works out every day. I can say we're in our 50s, right? That's something you admit, and George can still
I do not admit that. You are in your
You're neither confirming nor denying that,
No.
or are you straight up denying it?
Okay, I'm in my 50s.
Listen, be proud. How many people?
You
George can bench over 400 pounds. I know that, this isn't a how much can you bench contest, but in his 50s, he goes to the gym every day. He's in excellent physical condition.
Tom.
He's a very big person.
What are you doing for dinner?
I'm just
I'm
saying,
gonna
I
have
don't
to
think
buy
a
him
cage.
steak after this.
I don't think a cage match with Fred Thiel, who looks to me like he goes about 160 pounds.
Well, since there's 77 people watching, should we tell them what I was gonna do with Paul Logan?
Yeah, go ahead. I think we should still do that.
Paul Logan had a fight with somebody. Who was that? And made $5 million.
Yeah, he had a couple of high profile.
Evander Holyfield, wasn't it?
No, he didn't he fight?
Wasn't it Evander? Floyd May Weatherfield or whatever.
The other guy fought Floyd Mayweather. I think he
anyways.
fought the basketball player.
I don't know, but I was just like, someone just needs to bitch slap him. Sorry. And I was like, you know what? I should do it because he's like the same size as me. He's got to be, stronger than me. Hey, my glass came in.
We're thinking about a new show. Can you beat up an old man?
Yeah, can you beat it? And I think people would like it because I think there's a lot of people that would think I was a boomer, even though I'm not.
And we got another buddy of ours that we grew up with
Beck.
that's also
Come here.
an extremely large and strong individual. So
Yeah.
that's our.
Let's put it this way. Can I tell that story real quick?
Go ahead.
Two people go in. They start at the WWE at the same day. The same day. One is 6'7", 320 pounds, right? Probably three. Works out like a fiend. He's freaking huge. The other one, I'm gonna say he's 6 foot. I don't really think he's 6 foot, but he says he's 6 foot, so I'm gonna leave it that he's 6 foot.
We'll call him 6 foot for the sake of argument.
He's never wrestled. His brother wrestled. He never wrestled. And then, he was in good shape. Don't get me wrong. He was in great shape. By the end of the day, the guy who's 6'7" taps out. I'm out.
And they were roommates. They went there
They were
together.
roommates same day, and the other person, John Cena. True story.
Yeah.
And that is it's like you look at this guy, 6'7",
They're
in great shape. And
and obviously John's in great shape. He got everything he could out of his body and his career, and he's making mega bucks.
Still.
Yeah,
Right, and then the other one is at the bottom. You know what I mean?
He's
a great guy. Don't get me wrong. I love him to death.
We never would have imagined. John Cena was just our buddy's roommate. So
Right.
not now all of a sudden he's internationally one of the most famous people ever. So, and
Maybe I
they
can
went
get
down
John
there
Cena.
together.
You want me to get John Cena on this?
And to be fair,
He won't even answer my phone calls.
to be fair, it's difficult. Wrestling is difficult. That's why Tom, not our other buddy, is also named Tom. He said it was too physical. It hurt.
Yeah.
So it's not real quote, but it's still.
It's Logan Paul, not Paul Logan.
we're
I didn't
gonna
mean to do it that way. I'm sorry.
we're gonna get both of them a tag team. Logan Paul and Paul Logan.
Yeah, this is true. See, they don't want me to show the guns. I don't want to. There we go. We probably just got demonetized. This episode's done. We might as well go ahead and say ESG.
Oh,
Get it over with.
great! That's perfect.
Did anybody read Larry's letter?
Oh, the annual BlackRock Larry Fink letter. to the stakeholders.
Is that he writes it to the people that hold the stake?
Apparently, there's some
okay.
people out there holding stake, and that's who he's all about. You guys should read. If you haven't read it, I don't want to read it online.
Yeah, we don't want to waste any real time on it.
It's a very, well, it's not a very long letter, but it's not, it's not a one-page letter. He goes on and on and on. And let's
well, that
just
would be a good, you guys can comment about that on Discord, since that's pretty,
We can comment about that on Discord. If you guys, for those of you who are members, we could talk about that on our Tuesday stream. For those of you who are not members, you can hit the join button on YouTube right next to the subscribe button. If you do not see the join button, that means you're probably using an Apple product, so there should be a link below, and you can become a member.
So right before Bitcoin broke out, I swear to God, this is the truth. Tom and I were having a meeting right before lunch, which I was extremely hungry because we didn't get the lunch until like 1:30. But anyways, right around like 1 o'clock, he does this. He makes like a flag. He goes, "That's a bear flag."
No.
Said, what do you mean?
A bull flag.
A bull flag. He goes, a bull flag. And I'm like, what in the world's a bull flag? He goes, "Bitcoin's about ready to break out." And right after that, an hour and a half later, boom, it took off. And I was like, "How did you know?" And he's like, "Well, you can make these flags look any which way you want to, but that was a clear indication that it was a bull flag."
It was a bull flag, and you guys never see me in my videos go through and talk about bull flags, and there's so many different patterns and shapes and this and that. And the thing is, like, you got to use your judgment, because if you look hard enough, you're going to find whatever you want. Sometimes it jumps out at you, and there's an obvious bull flag, and it plays out that way. But you know what? How about the times it doesn't play out that way? So I would not singularly make my investment decision on just because I saw a bull flag, because it's hit or miss. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff is saying everyone join the membership.
It's fire. It's fire.
Oh, Eric said, "I'm joined on my old account. I can't access it anymore." Well, that's not good. We got to figure out how to fix that.
Got hacked.
Jeff said the Tuesday live stream is fire. Yeah, this is a great live stream too, but we get to talk about more things on the members only live stream.
I was going to say one thing about that, and I'm going to tell you one of my comments that I made on the live stream. On the member stream, so you can see the interesting content that you would get. Do you remember what it was?
No.
Somebody asked me, "Well, what about HUT? Any rumors about HUT?"
Oh, yes, that's right.
And I said, just so you guys know, this is what I said.
So now you're going to say it? Now you're going to say it?
No, I'm not going to say that. I said this. I said, what happens between the sheets, stay between the sheets. That's all I said.
That's it.
That's it. I'm not saying that's about HUT. I'm just saying what happens between the sheets, stay between the sheets.
I guess that all depends on who you're between the sheets with.
I don't know. Bull flag.
Bull flag.
So where does Bitcoin go, Tom? What are you thinking? Are you feeling good about it? No? Did it break your range?
This is the 4-hour time frame. So even though this is currently red, this current candle, if this candle can close above the blue line at 16,875, this is not an arbitrary line. I know a lot of times people think these lines just don't mean anything and it's a coincidence, but if I zoom out, this goes all the way back to November 30th. So you can see for a couple of weeks this was a very strong line of support, and yes, we dipped under it for a bit, got right back over it, came back. We kept touching this line, so this was from solid support. When we crossed it right here, you can see for the last month, it's just been resistance. So this right now, we had one fake out here because this 4-hour candle closed above the line, and this 4-hour candle closed above the line. That's it in the last basically month. So if we start closing 4-hour candles above this line, then I'm going to feel like, yeah, we're going to run up to at least this line at 17,567. So, call it 17,500 or 600. I think we're long overdue for that. Is a tiny relief rally. Like, that's not asking for a lot.
Doesn't it look so far away?
Oh, yeah, and it all depends on your perspective. I mean, I can make it look super close. See if we go to the 1 day. So this is FTX. So look, I mean, the FTX, we were doing just fine. We were humming along. We were coming up on 21,500. And then, boom, FTX. And so to me, this looks like a lot of sideways consolidation. I think there's a chance that this does have some kind of, obviously we had this fake out here. And, maybe we can have at least another run like this, but, maybe we have a real run. Maybe we have an actual bona fide relief rally, but I might not even be allowed to say those words anymore because I did call for that for 2 solid months and we really just didn't get it. And we almost got, this was the middle of the time I was calling for it, but we got derailed and the rest is history.
So I have a new strategy. My strategy is to make 10 grand a month. And then after I do that, I'm going to play poker.
Your strategy is to make 10. I think everybody has that same exact strategy. Your strategy is you are swing trading stocks now.
Unbelievable. You have to see this. So what happened was, sorry, I do building and mitigation and stuff like that. And I'm going to put this on Discord so you guys can see this, what just happened to me. And that's the reason why I took the phone call. We're finishing up a house. We're just doing construction, nothing major, right? We didn't build this building. Somebody else built it. And I have to show you this. And this was in a room behind a freaking wall, okay? And we're just putting the freaking damn thing back together. And you gotta see this. Ridiculous. How does this ever get passed? Why do they have building inspectors? That's my whole thing.
How old is the building?
2006.
Oh, that's new.
Yeah.
Reasonably new.
Yeah. I'm putting it in, where should I put it? General? I'll put it in general. And you gotta see this. It's not even like in the wall. It's like right next to a framed wall.
Did you put it in the Discord?
Yeah, I'm putting it in Discord right now.
Gotcha.
And you have to see this. You guys just won't believe it. How bad construction is nowadays. That's just a regular wall. Like, so it's buried. So we can't see what you're going to be looking at. You just, bam. It's just like, why wouldn't you put a freaking piece of metal in front of it so no one would hit it? Assholes. It just pisses me off.
So I don't have the bleep button. We're in real time here.
Oh, is that? Can I say asshole?
I guess you can. You just did twice.
I just did. Well, I don't mean it isn't. But come on, guys, do better. It's the whole thing of Kudab.
Do better.
You don't understand. I was done with the project. This was the last room. We were done. So, I'm positive sure. What do you want? What do you think, sir?
ID Neon is saying 16,000 coins to sell from 20K to 16K. 148,000 coins traded at this sideways. Oh, gotcha. So, in other words, it moved there quickly, and now here we sit, trading and trading and trading at 16,000. It's time to go back up to 21K, and then it's time to go back up to 25K. And Bootsy is asking, and a bunch of people have mentioned the DCG situation and Genesis, and I am currently not panicking about that. And, you know, the question is any contagion, so we can't rule that out. We don't know how all that's going to end, but so far that situation does not seem anything like some of these other disasters that have occurred, in my opinion. So I'm in a wait and see situation. I'll wait for because we've been worrying about Genesis for 2 months now. So I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I have you beat, Gorilla. Oh, you're buying and Eric's buying a house next week. Nice.
Jeff.
Oh, and then Gorilla has a house that was built in 1890 and it's solid.
Nice.
Well, listen, most people wouldn't be able to answer this question, but that's not a very good, accurate statement. I don't know where your house was built in 1890, but the house that I built that was in the 1890s, it was not too solid. It was, 4x4s were actual 4x4s, and so like they didn't do headers. They would just put a 4x4 post on each window, which was kind of cool. But when the wind came, it blew right through it.
Well, and construction is so regional. I mean, you bought a house in the sticks in Georgia. Depends where it was built in 1890. They were building things like a fortress in certain places.
I'm gonna put a picture of that house up on Discord too, if you want to see it.
Jeff said he's got to run. Good night, Jeff.
Night, Jeff.
Steve is playing poker right now, so Steve's ahead of you.
Do you split aces?
You don't. Not in poker.
You brought her.
Let's see. It would be nice to see Bitcoin gap to 18,000 on the daily over the previous day's red bar close. Yeah, that exactly. That would be beautiful.
I gotta show you a picture of what we had to do to this thing. This is insane. We had to take all the siding off the outside and put new plywood out and then wrap it and then put new siding back up. It was insane.
This is the house that was built in the 1890s?
Well, now, so the next door neighbor says it was built in 1837, but on the deed it says it was built in 1896 or something like that.
Gorilla is in Montana, so maybe they were just building stuff better in Montana.
Yeah, probably. Not in Georgia, man. Woo-wee. I should show you what it looks like. I'm going to put a picture of the shower because I just happened to get a picture of the shower that we just got done. And remember, this house was built in the 1890s, and it's wow. I just went nuts. We renovated the whole thing, every ounce of it. Ripped out all the drywall, all the electric, all the plumbing, and redid the whole thing. Because I was just like, yeah, if I'm going to live here, I want it to be nice.
Yeah, this was a total remodel.
I'm just gonna take a picture of the kitchen. Look at this kitchen. You won't even believe this house is that old. This is Discord, right?
If you're not seeing these, George is posting them on our Discord.
Kitchen of George's.
Future Forward says, amazing that Bitcoin is sitting at 16K with all that has happened, and that blocks continue to be produced along with increased hash rate. No matter what happens, the halving is still coming in 2024. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's been very, very, very sideways through some bad times in the market. Now, today was a good day in the market, and well, I guess, Bitcoin did have a little bit of an up day. This is where Bitcoin was yesterday when the market closed. The orange line, so that's always the case. My orange line is the last time the market closed. So, we're up a little bit from there, but not a huge day. And the Bitcoin miners, if we haven't even talked about the day today. The Bitcoin miners this was one of the least volatile days we've had in a long time. And that might sound funny because if you look through this list, DMG was up 13%. Stronghold was up 11%. Argo Blockchain was down 11%. But those now, I think that by our new, the new way we're looking at these, those are not big moves. We're going to get those every day on this board. The big moves are 25, 30, 35, 40, 50. One stock was up 75% the other day in the middle of the day. I want to go to a chart because I'm going to show you. This is why this chart, in my opinion, is why people should, well, I shouldn't say should, but it's why hope exists. If you look at Argo Blockchain, so obviously this is on the 1-day time frame. This was Argo at its highs back in November when Bitcoin hit its highs, November of 2021. So, that was 14 months ago now. But obviously it's had a drastic pullback. But if I zoom in, like here's a run. So what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. So in 8 trading days, Argo Blockchain was up 368%. This is what can happen to these Bitcoin mining stocks as they've all been pushed down to nano cap size stocks with small, there's I think 8 of these trading between 10 and $25 million market caps. These are companies that used to be a couple of $100 million. Some of these companies used to be billions of dollars in market cap. So you can get a 368% move in, that's less than 2 trading weeks. That's a week and a half. And it's pulled back a little bit since then, but we don't know. Let's put it this way. They got their notice. They got their 180-day notice in here somewhere when they were down trading in the 30s. 2 weeks later, they're at $1.42. They're going to be, that notice is going to be nullified in a couple of days because they got almost instantly got back over $1, 10 trading days over $1, and they're no longer out of compliance. So that's a total reset button. Now they would have to go under $1 for 30 consecutive days in order to start that clock again. So these are the kind of moves we can get. And this, this was the biggest one in the last few weeks, but there have been a lot of 50%, 75% moves. Like this is, I expect 2023 to have activity like this, especially in the first half of the year. If things may get to a better place later, but with these stocks at the levels they're at, we're going to have wild, wild moves. So today, on a day that was very calm, we still had 4 trading in over double-digit moves. Let's see. Bitcoin Rules says play euchre. Oh, that's a regional thing. Where is Bitcoin Rules from? Because I grew up playing euchre, but most people don't know that game. Oh, unless of course everybody does. And I'm wrong.
What's the future of BTBT? Because I know you always like it.
They put out their monthly operational report today. I thought it was excellent. I don't, they're not in the hunt for like largest Bitcoin miner. They've got some pros and cons. They have. So I'll tell you what my issue is with them. And overall, I will tell you, I think they're one of the most rock solid companies. And it's hard to even believe I'm saying that. But I think their upside is limited. So I think their downside risk is very low. They have over 1,000 Bitcoin equivalents. They're still holding some Ethereum, but altogether they have over 1,000 hodl. And they got like $30 million in cash past that. They have no debt. They have one of the best balance sheets in the whole industry. The problem that they have is, they're at one point, I think they're at 1.23 exahash. Maybe it was 1.32. I can't remember. The problem is, and they keep saying we have 2.7 exahash worth of machines, but we're operating at, they finally got up to 1 exahash. Now they're a little over 1 exahash. Most of those machines, they're never going to plug back in. They unplugged them from China, now well over a year ago, and they're just
Did
not.
their lawsuits get settled? Or no?
I don't think they have any lawsuit that's pending against them.
Oh, remember somebody was suing them because they didn't believe in their exahash?
Somebody put out a short report and said this company is fake.
Oh, I thought they got sued. That was just a short report.
Yeah, and they literally said this company's fake, management's criminals, and so that was a while ago. In the meantime, so that's the good news, bad news on Bit Digital, stock ticker BTBT. I think their balance sheet is rock solid. They have no debt. They have tons of cash, but they are not really a 2.7 exahash company because most of those machines are older machines that just have no chance of being profitable at Bitcoin 17,000. And by the time Bitcoin gets to where it's going, my guess is the difficulty level will have risen to a point where they may never get to plug those machines back in. But they did buy 10,000 new machines, and those they've plugged them all in. That's where they got to the 1 exahash. So they've got a few of their old machines plugged in. So I think it's a pretty safe bet from my perspective. But I don't think they're going to the moon because there's not a lot of catalysts there. But you never know. They're only one press release away from saying, "Hey, we just bought another 10,000 Bitcoin miners," and that could send them up.
We got a good deal on this Mountain Dew miner.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. They came out with this new thing. It's coming back around. Bitcoin should have had a really big day today. It's just really manipulated by the algorithms. That's from Eric. Yeah, I mean, today was a big... So just to... What Eric's saying is, this was, the NASDAQ was up 2.5% today. So supposedly we're, tethered to the NASDAQ here, but not lately. Lately, the NASDAQ goes up, the NASDAQ goes down, and Bitcoin just sits there at $16,800. So this is a very, very unusually long period of almost no volatility in Bitcoin. So on the bad days for the market, that's great for Bitcoin. But on good days like today, this is just green across the board. Everything was green today, and Bitcoin had a very small move compared to everything else. Yeah, Alex is saying what I was just saying. Bitcoin hasn't seen the volatility that the indices have seen in the last 90 days, for sure. Which is usually the exact opposite. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is usually where the volatility is extreme, and it's been the reverse for several months, which is not normal. I'm not saying it's never ever happened, but this is among the lowest. This is among the lowest volatility in the history of Bitcoin. There's only been a few times that it's behaved like this, and it's now 14 years. I think it just turned 14. Who holds more Bitcoin? That's what I want to know, says Righteous Lion. Who holds which Bitcoin miner holds more Bitcoin? Manuel says, "Hey Tom, what did you think of Bitfarms this week?" I mean, I was very pleased with Bitfarms' December operational report, and I was pleased with their stock performance this week. And they still have a long, long way to go. But, they were up 4% today on a day where the miners didn't do too much. They were up big the other day. They were down to like $90 million market cap. So to be at almost 120 million, they've added a significant... Let's go to the chart. Let's not guess.
Tom, I'm gonna sneak out. See you guys, because I'm gonna have to run to this house.
All right, George.
See you guys.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thanks for joining us. So for Bitfarms, I mean, to put it in perspective, this was Friday, December 30th. So that's last week. So, I mean, it looks like we were up over 40% this week in Bitfarms. So that's a great week. And it was consistently up. It wasn't just one wacko day. Like, this was a pretty steady ride up this week. Now it's sitting right here at this line, which I'm hoping does not turn into resistance, because to me, I think Bitcoin down even here at 54 cents, or sorry, Bitfarms, I think that's crazy time. So we'll see. I mean, it got there. It got below there. What was the low? It got down to 37 cents. 37 cents for a share of Bitfarm. I bought some, not at 37, but I bought some in the 40-cent range. And that's the last time I bought in, and that was last week. So I figure at this point, let's just see how things go. But I am hopeful that we're heading towards at least a short period of time here where we're moving in the right direction. Let's see. Oh, Jamie's saying thanks for your comment. Jamie asked about Bit Digital. Space Odyssey Marathon holds the most Bitcoin, I think, and that is correct. Space Odyssey Marathon holds the most Bitcoin. I think there are over 12,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet now. They did buy like 4,500 of them a couple of years ago, but they're at 12,000 now, so they have a massive amount of their own, self-mined Bitcoin as well. They have not sold a Bitcoin in 2 years. I think Marathon and Hut are the only ones left that have not sold a Bitcoin in 2 years. So Marathon has the biggest stack at just over 12,000. I believe Hut has the second biggest stack at just over 9,000. And then in third place is Riot at just under 7,000. And then fourth place is a distant fourth place. No one else really has a substantial stack of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. It's just those three companies now. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments to see if I can catch up. Do you think Hut 8 got one off the best do you think Hut 8 has one of the best balance sheets? I think is what you're asking, and the answer is absolutely yes. Hut 8 has, in my opinion, a very, very strong balance sheet. Now, they're very committed to holding that stack of Bitcoin. So that's becoming a larger and larger percent of their balance sheet. And this is my speculation. They have outright said on the channel, Sue, every time she's come on, has said, we are a Bitcoin company first. We're very bullish on Bitcoin in the long term. Jamie is committed to keeping her stack and growing it. So I would think that their intention is, if they can do it, is to get to the halving and let Bitcoin do what it's supposed to do before they start selling this Bitcoin that they've been holding now for 2 full years. Let's see. Stephen English is saying, yes, I do like Hut. That is true. That's in my top 4. I think that was number 3 on my top 4 list. I did not love their... I haven't done a video on it yet, so it had a lot of good news and some news I didn't love. But I think it looks to me like Hut 8 thinks we're not done with this crypto winter. That's the sense I get from the monthly operational report that they just put out. So that's just my interpretation. Grill saying his biggest position is Galaxy Digital. I think they have more upside potential. They are very diversified in the crypto industry. And Gary is saying 4,000. So to answer we had talked about how Marathon bought some of their Bitcoin. So Gary is pointing out they bought 4,800 of their Bitcoin for $150 million. So that's over $30,000 per coin. So out of their 12,000, 4,800 of them they bought for 30,000. So those are not self-mined. The rest of them, it's whatever the cost it was to mine them. 1 year from today, Riot could well have the largest hodl. I'm hesitant to say that because I think, Jason came onto the channel and talked to us, and they seem to be committed to a hybrid approach of adding to their hodl but using their Bitcoin that they mine to fund operations. So, I mean, right now they're way out ahead of everybody in exahash, core scientific notwithstanding. They're a different story, but Riot right now is at 9.7 exahash. They plan on getting to 12.5. That's been their plan for over a year. It looks like they're right on plan. So that's my number one pick for all of those reasons, but I'm not sure how they're going to pass Marathon in hodl, only because they do seem committed to spending some of their Bitcoin to fund operations, which I support. Ideally, if these companies could do like a 50-50, in my mind, that's the best of both worlds. If you could pay for all your operations and save half your Bitcoin, that's great. But, the math doesn't always work out that way every month. And obviously, at some point, with HUT and with Marathon, at some point, this is coming at the cost of dilution. So they're banking on the fact that Bitcoin is going to go up at a much faster pace than they're diluting their stock. That's really what they're saying. And HUT 8 also has some other revenue streams. Not enough to pay the bills, but it helps. Brandon said, "Where's the loudmouth?" I'm assuming that is a question about George. George had to just step out. He's got his business is going nuts. He deals with water mitigation, and there have been a couple of different cities that have had some pretty big problems. So he's been unusually busy. When will HUT get back to $10? I don't know, but I will be holding it beyond that point because I'm in these for the long term, so I don't know. It could be, they could get back there this year. They might not get back there until the halving, but I do also think they're going to go well beyond that. That's my opinion. My price target for them is much higher than $10, but my time frame is 3 to 5 years. And Alex has the same answer. They'll get to $10 when they get there. That's it. Righteous Line saying HUT 8 is playing it safe. They have been through a bear market before, so there's no doubt they took the most conservative approach out of all of the Bitcoin miners, and it's not even close. In a lot of ways, it served them well. We have. So, Kudab, can you do any better, is George. So, he's saying, I'm here. So, he's still listening. He's just had to go mobile, and he's not live with us. But he's live with us in the chat. Let's see. Hi, Tom. Nice uptick with Mara and Riot this week. That's from Gareth. Hey, Gareth. I don't know if you just joined us or not, so welcome. Welcome to the party. Dice Forever, welcome. let's see, when will you be reviewing Hut's production update for December? So I'm going to do that this weekend. Hut put out their update today. I did not get to that today. I did read it. I just haven't done a video on it, but I think we can expect that to be one of the videos for tomorrow. So that's probably at the top of my list, and I definitely have some thoughts there on that one. Some good, some a little concerned, but having said that, they are in my top 4 Bitcoin miners. So whatever concerns I have, they're obviously one of the ones that I think are the safer, better bets over the long term. So let's see. DMG put out there, I'm just checking my notes because there's a few, and a lot of these I probably won't do a video on because they're too small and nobody cares. DMG put out their update. DMG had a massive run this week. I'm going to pull that chart up as well. So DMG's update was good news, bad news. Let me know in the chat if you guys care. I'll do an update video on them because they do have a lot of interesting stuff going on. And there was some good news and some bad news in that update, in my opinion. And I want to show you, because DMG had a pretty wild ride. I mean, these 3 days right here. So this was Friday. And then there was a long weekend in the U.S. We didn't trade on Monday due to New Year's. So this was Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday. From the bottom to the top of that, that's a 63% move. So it did pull back. By the end of the day, it closed. That's a 44% move. But, I mean, these are massive moves. And then it went way down, but now, now it's back up. It's still up 33% from last week after all of this jumping around. And this is what I'm saying. These are such small. This is under $20 million market cap. So you can get a giant jump up, and then so you got a giant green day. So this is pump and dump, right? Giant green day, and then from sometime in the middle of this day, so from the peak to the bottom of the next day, that's down 28%. So we're gonna get these moves. This is going to happen for as long as these are nano cap stocks. Let's see. Tom, who's the most popular Bitcoin miner? So I don't think there's an answer to that. There's a lot. If I go by number of views on, so I do, I try and do operational updates on each of the big miners each month. And I think people tend to tune in more to the Marathon. Probably Marathon #1, then maybe Riot, and Hut 8 is extremely popular as well. So, I have just a sample group that I'm seeing to judge from, but to me, those three seem to be the most popular videos when I do them. They're the most watched videos. And I know Marathon is the most controversial out of all the Bitcoin miners. There's people on this stream right now, I'm sure, that love them and people that hate them. Are we dumping this Sunday? So I hope not. Let me go back and see how we're doing. Where's my 15-minute? I mean, I'm looking at this, and if we've been faked out before. This is the problem. This is why I keep calling for a rally, and it keeps not happening. This looks like we're halfway through potentially proving a breakout right now above this line. But are we going to get faked out again, and by the time this 4-hour candle's closed, the party's over? Or Or 2 other times we did have one 4-hour candle close above this line, only for the next one to close below it. So I guess we got to go overnight. But if we start rallying this weekend, then I don't think we will dump on Sunday. Steve saying something about blonde hair, but I do not have, so I don't have blonde hair. Oh, is this in reference to, I feel like I just connected the dots. I'm slow. I think that Sue and Jamie have blonde hair over at HUT. Listen, Sue has been great to the channel. I think she's answered all my questions, and I've asked her real questions, and a lot of times they can't answer them because they're a publicly traded company, but I think they've been open with us, and their balance sheet is awesome. So I am charmed by their balance sheet, I'll tell you that. And that's why I have them in my top 4. Gareth is saying, and Steve, if you were talking about something else with blonde hair, then I apologize. Those are the dots I just connected. So if I'm wrong, let me know. Gareth, did you find out why Hive was not disclosing its hodl position in the last report? No, and they have not reported for December yet. So I'm waiting to see if they rectify that in the December report, or if that's just now something they're not going to tell us anymore. And I will tell you, as an investor, I'm not saying this is what it is, but as an investor, if they're not going to tell us anymore, I'm going to assume it's something that resembles, it's at or around 0. So if it's something other than that, they really should be telling us, because the investment community will assume that, given the void of information. So I am definitely hopeful. They have not put they're the only, of the top 6 now that are, decent sized market caps that have been putting out reports. Bitfarms has already put theirs out. HUT's put theirs out. CleanSpark, Riot, and Marathon. So Hive is the only one that has not put their report out of the big ones. I do expect a report. In my opinion, we need a report from Cypher, Gree. Bit Digital did put out their report. I think it's time for Wolf to start reporting, because, Wolf and Cypher are up and running now. So most of 2022, they were just balls of potential, and we were waiting to see if they were going to do something. But they are both mining Bitcoin at this point. So they should be putting out monthly operational reports, as far as I'm concerned. That's for whatever that's worth. Robert says Mara by far the most popular miner. Says Gary. So it sounds like Mara is the most, and just based on video views and comments and all that, I wouldn't argue with that. They seem to be very popular. Alex is saying HUT 8 popularity of Sue as well as performance. Listen, Sue's the hardest working person in cryptocurrency. She is back to back interviewing nonstop, getting the word out. So that definitely does make them more high profile. They don't, like, even Marathon doesn't really have a counterpart to that. So, part of it's their own effort of getting out there. Steve is saying HUT 8 is my first mining stock I bought, and it's my largest position. So, that's one I agree with you on, Steve. That's in my top 4. I have 4 that I have a high level of conviction in, and obviously, there is risk with all of them, and I did a video and talked about the different levels of risk, because I think even among those 4, there's varying levels of risk. But HUT 8 I have as one of the lower risk among all these high risk stocks. So I like HUT 8. Gareth said it must not be good. I'm assuming that is referring to Hive's HODL. Well, what you just said is exactly the whole point. You're making the same assumption every investor is going to make, and that's the logical assumption. If they reported that every month all year, and then they stopped reporting it. So they didn't stop reporting it because it got awesome. So what are we left to assume? In the absence of information, you know, at a bare minimum, we have uncertainty, and the stock market hates uncertainty. And yeah, we're naturally going to assume the worst. That's just how it works. So if it is the worst, they might as well just tell us. They've been disclosing it. Just disclose it. Righteous Line says, do you think HUT 8 is at a good buying point? So, I mean, it's hard for me to know if you're in it or not, or averaging in, but I mean, my price target for HUT 8 is much, much, much higher than this. They're still under $1. But, you know, if we revisit our lows, these Bitcoin miners are going to get wrecked again. So, this is a buyer beware situation. You know, we hit about 15,500, and then we retested it. And, you know, if the next big news is some kind of big scandal and we go retest that again, then we're going to go lower. The miners are going to go lower. But, you know, you got to ask yourself, am I okay averaging in? And that's why so many people you'll see are an advocate of dollar cost averaging in, because I don't know when the bottom is. Nobody knows when the bottom is, right? And sometimes we double bottom or we triple bottom. So you're taking that ride up and down. If you're a swing trader, and I know we have some successful swing traders on the channel, then those are good opportunities to buy and sell. For me, I have mostly been a buy and hold person. I do swing trade some options, you know, because it's less money. It's more risk with the options, but I get to use smaller amounts of money, so I put less money at risk. But that's how I play it. So Space Age Play is saying, does the collapse of one miner benefit the others? It does benefit them if their miners go offline. So the most frustrating thing, I think, probably to all of these Bitcoin miners right now is that Core Scientific went into a Chapter 11 reorganization. And what that means is they get to keep all their machines running. So they never had to turn a machine off because of their financial difficulties. They've now filed for bankruptcy, and they are still by far the largest Bitcoin miner, and they mine by far the most Bitcoin. You can check over on Twitter. On their Twitter account, they tell you every day, but they're mining like 50 Bitcoin a day. So, you know, in that instance, you know, there's a company that went Chapter 11, but it didn't help the other miners at all, because really that protection allows them to run all their machines in a world where they otherwise probably would have had to turn their machines off. So it just depends on, you know, which way it goes. For those that actually fail, turn their machines off. So here's some examples. Some of these companies have had to, they haven't had to, they've chosen to give some of their machines back because they were being used as collateral against loans that they just weren't going to be able to pay back. So it was either go in default of your loan or give your machines back. So when that happens, you know, if somebody gives 2 or 3 exahash worth of machines back to their lender, those go offline in all likelihood for some period of time. And there's a glut of extra machines right now. So I think as machines go offline, they don't necessarily come back online right away. Alex is saying there's no new money in the miners buys until I see Bitcoin and the miners show they are bullish. So that's from Alex's perspective. I think he's saying he's not putting any new money in until we get some actual bullish signals, not these mini fake outs. And then Gary is saying no miner has gone out of business yet in this bear market, which is an excellent point. I I don't think a lot of miners have had to do major reorganizations, but I really don't think a lot of them are going to go out of business. I think they're going to find a way to do, if you go down the list, let's take Iris Energy as an example, right? They had $100 million in debt that they were about to default on, but the way they arranged their debt, it was collateralized by machines, but it was non-recourse otherwise, so they got to give those machines back. Now they have zero debt, so they're a much smaller company. Iris Energy was one of the fastest growing companies in the whole industry. No, it was the fastest growing company in the industry for a portion of 2022, and then they had to pump the brakes and give a lot of their machines back. So now they're a small company. Stronghold did the same thing. Mawson did the same thing. So I think that's more going to be the trend. A lot of people have stopped buying the machines they were going to buy. Some people have had to give back the machines they already have. So, you know, if everybody had done what they said they were going to do, the difficulty level would be substantially higher than it is right now. Because almost everybody, other than, you know, even Bitfarms, which is a company that I love, they went into the year saying, you know, we've already got a runway for 7.2 exahash. Our target is 8 exahash. And they went out of, and they ended the year at 4.5 exahash, I believe. So, you know, that's substantially less. And that's a company that I thought performed well this year. The only companies that really grew massively this year was CleanSpark, had astronomical growth. Core Scientific had big growth, but, you know, now they're in Chapter 11. Riot had big growth as a percentage, and they kind of stayed on their plan. And a lot of these other companies are way off their plan. And some of these companies are talking, you know, I can tell you, Cypher and Wolf are talking about, you know, being at, you know, 6 exahash in the next 60 days. So I will believe that if and when I see it, but that's what they're saying they're going to do. So we shall see. And Marathon's talking about getting like 8 more exahash online in the next 75 or 90 days. So my gut is if we're sitting here around Bitcoin 17,000, everybody is not going to race to get all these machines online. Right? What's the hurry at Bitcoin 17,000? But, you know, if we have a nice relief rally and we get over 20,000, I do think that changes the math a lot for these guys. Gary's saying the problem hasn't weeded out the weakest miners as was projected. And that's true. And I don't know if any of these guys, I'll tell you another one. Any Sphere 3D. Right? They're at one point they put out a press release that they were going to get to 32.4 exahash. So now they're at not even, I think maybe they're at 1. They were not even at 1 all year. They might have just got to 1. So, you know, there's a company that thought it was going to be the biggest Bitcoin miner in the whole industry, and they're, you know, just barely hanging around 1 exahash. Also, DMG Blockchain just said, look, you know, we've been talking about adding a second exahash, but we're putting it on hold. Looks like it's not going to be in 2023. So that's what we're seeing a lot more of. What happens to Celsius mining now? So they got turned off, I believe, a lot of their machines by, I think it's Core Scientific. You know, both of those companies are in Chapter 11, so they're, you know, fighting through the court system, but I think a lot of their machines got turned off very recently. And I don't know where those machines go, if they find a way, if they have to sell them for pennies on the dollar. And these are the types of things that maybe Hut is waiting for. There are several companies that have talked about wanting to buy, that are saying they're going to be opportunistic and add to their exahash rate. And Hut 8 came right out and said that, talking to us, that, and on their earnings call. So, I mean, they made no bones about it. They said they're going to be opportunistic in growing either organically or inorganically. So we'll see. I thought there would be more purchases by now, so that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for some good headlines to hit that, XYZ company bought, 5,000 Bitcoin miners. And let's see, Brett is saying, hurry to get all built by the time markets return to more juicy profits. Colton, hey, hello. Welcome. You can watch the replay later. Welcome anyway. Yeah, I mean, some of these companies, like for instance, Marathon's the perfect example. They're at 7.0 exahash. They have another 2 exahash that they said is ready to be energized, but they're not able to energize them yet. So that would get them from 7 to 9. But they're really not even mining their 7 exahash. So, I think they're a company that's lining stuff up in hopes that Bitcoin's going to be at a number worth mining at some point sooner than later. And I think a lot of these companies, the efficiency, their mining efficiency in December is going to be the worst. Overall, there were a few companies that did great, but overall, these are going to be the worst numbers we've ever seen. A little bit of that is because we had some severe weather that caused curtailment, but most of that, I think, is self-curtailment based on the fact that, the math just doesn't work for them to mine. Alex is saying, I have to get my Mega Million Lotto numbers. The pot is $940 million. Merry Christmas to the Russian Orthodox Christians tomorrow, says Alex. Yeah, I guess this is a new phenomenon. If this Mega Millions thing gets up to $1 billion, I feel compelled to buy a ticket, even though that probably really doesn't make any sense mathematically. But $1 billion is $1 billion. So Charles is asking, has Hut made any progress with the power contract at the one facility? And the answer to that is they have not disclosed any change in that situation at all. They did say, Sue on the channel said that their hope is they resolve that issue and get those machines back online and keep those machines right where they are. So it sounds like that's their desired outcome, but as of right now, those machines are offline and there's been no progress update from Hut 8. Applied Digital, where Marathon is going to get hosted as at under $2 company, could go under. Yeah, I have not done a deep dive on Applied Digital. Making a note. So some of the companies that are not publicly traded, like Celsius Mining, it looks like they're done. The whole Celsius situation, they filed for Chapter 11, but, now they're starting to turn machines off. So I don't know. There's some non-publicly traded companies that are gone, but the publicly traded ones seem to be holding on, which leads me to believe, and this is what I was saying the other day. When push comes to shove, there's not any easy money left in the market, and people are intentionally, letting this get to the last second. But when push comes to shove, every single one of these companies, somebody has come in and bailed them out of their situation. There's 7 or 8 or 9 of these that, through the normal course of business, they would not have been able to pay their bills and service their debt anymore, and they should be bankrupt. But their lenders or some other interested party has saved them from that. Alex is saying, unless you win. LOL, exactly. Gary's saying no money in hosting. That's what it looks like. If you look at all these companies' financial statements, it looks like they lose money in hosting. And I don't know if a lot of people got caught with longer-term hosting agreements at a certain fixed power price, and then the price of power went way up. and they all got burned. I mean, I can't imagine doing anything but some type of cost plus on power, but I do think there are a lot of fixed price agreements, and it definitely, all the publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies that also had hosting businesses, their hosting businesses did not do well. Most of them lost money from a gross profit standpoint, never mind net income. Thank you. I'm going to pronounce this wrong, so my apologies. Jaiko says, hit the like button. Thanks for your work. Thank you. So, yeah, anybody, if you can smash the like button. Wow, you know what? Thank you, everybody. Congratulations. 60 likes. That is a very good number, so I appreciate it. Why did Hive have to sell any of their HODL? I don't think they were short money. I don't know. They've been selling. They're certainly not running out of money, but they are having those custom machines built. Remember, they bought all the Intel chips, the ASIC chips from Intel, but they're building custom machines to put them in. So I don't know if they're selling their Bitcoin in order to fund, building and paying for these machines so that they can get more exahash online. I'm not sure. They got to tell us that in this operational update this month, which should come out, sometime in the next 3-4 business days. But I don't know the answer to that. Are the Mara machines old? Asks Raul, and the answer to that is no. The vast majority of their machines are new. S19 equivalent or better. So most of their fleet is new. Gorilla is saying hosting is what killed Core Scientific. I mean, it certainly did not help. And they were the biggest hosting out of all of them by far. They were planning on being, at one point at the beginning of the year, their hosting target for December 31st, 2022 was to get to 20 exahash of hosting and 20 exahash of self-mining. So they fairly quickly backed off that, but they were by far the biggest hosting out of all the publicly traded companies. Anthony's asking, did I already comment on HUT 8? So, what was my opinion on their December production? I am going to do a video. I talked about this a little bit. I think that their monthly update was a little bit of a disappointment, but I don't think it's as bad as it looks. I still have a lot of confidence in HUT 8, so I'm going to do a video on that tomorrow and explain in detail because there was a bunch going on there. Welcome. Thank you. We just had somebody join as a member. Audible Coast, welcome to Talkin' Investing. Much appreciated. Hopefully you enjoy the content. There's a bunch of content already there waiting for you that you can check out, and you can join us on Tuesday on the live stream.
All right, welcome to Talkin' Investing.
Oh, that's the sign that's the noise that happens when we get a new. So everybody, welcome to Audible Coast. And thank you very much for joining. And thank all of the members that are on today's live stream. Thank you for being members. Thank you to all the subscribers and for everybody that's watching. I will tell you, I feel like in a very difficult market, I feel like I'm blessed with a very, very good group of subscribers and viewers and watchers and members. Our channel's been growing when a lot of others have been shrinking, so that's all due to you guys. So I just always like to take time and thank everybody for that on these streams because it's much appreciated. Let's see. Brett says host at the right site can be very profitable. PPA depend. Yeah, I mean, if these people learn their lesson and they start doing cost plus, but if they're doing a fixed contract and they're not in control of the price, then if the host isn't in control of the price that they're paying for energy and they're giving a fixed price to the people that they're hosting, then that's a formula for potential disaster. Gary Pellet saying hosts go bankrupt. And so far, that's been the trend. And then George says, you're the best. Thank you. Much appreciated. Gary, marathon cost to mine are... Hold on, I got a thing popping up on my window. Marathon cost to mine are too high for them to turn on all 7 exahash. So I suspect that that's exactly right, Gary. What other reason would they have? And again, I don't know if it was you earlier that was saying it seems like once a week they turn everything on, and I don't know if it's just to keep the, machines up and running, but a lot of days it seems like they cycle a lot of their machines off. They are self-curtailing in a big way. Craig Anderson says CleanSpark just sent me a notification about a new video. So maybe CleanSpark put a video out, is what Craig is saying. So I'll check that out after the live stream and see if they put something out. They already put their monthly operational update out, so I did do a video on that. For those of you who have seen that, I'm on board with CleanSpark right now. I love what they did in 2022. Raul, all the Bitcoin miner YouTubers went bust. Any insight on the Mara host agreements? So I don't really have any insight on the Mara host agreements. So that's something that I can look more into and talk about. I know this is a part of Marathon's problem, and it's been a part of why they've underperformed and failed to meet their goals. They're very dependent. They're asset light, and that's their term. That's how they describe their company. They believe that's their success formula. The problem is you end up with an awful lot of partners in business to get to where you're going. You're dependent on a lot of people in the critical path of things. So to some extent, your fate is out of your own hands if those around you that you've negotiated deals with don't perform. And that, I think, has been Marathon's biggest problem for the last year. It's just been, bad news after bad news. Who was the big host that went bankrupt, that was going to host a lot of their machines? I'm forgetting their name right now for some reason, but they've gotten curveball after curveball, and I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just saying that's what happened. Let's see. Meet Busy. I live very close to where Stronghold mines at. Do you think they will make it overall? I'm a gigantic fan of Stronghold. I hold a small position in them, more just as, it's one that I hope succeeds. I think they're, for everybody that talks about green energy and what Stronghold is doing is something different. No one's doing what they're doing, and they're cleaning up a mess that desperately needs to be cleaned up, and they're doing it in an environmentally friendly way, and they're able to make energy, so they're selling energy and using energy to mine Bitcoin. So I love what they're doing. I think they're going to make it, but a part of that, understand, is that I'm really pulling for them to make it. So it's a company I like a lot. Yes, Hut updated their December production today. It was a very dissatisfying number. I think they mined 161 Bitcoin in December. So I am going to do a video and dig deeper into that, because I don't think that's as bad as it sounds, but that's certainly not a great result for the month of December for Hut. Brett says, ERCOT, Texas, small price spikes at present, so many miners are curtailing in West Texas. So, yeah, so this is what's happening. The self-curtailment is, now I will tell you, Riot, they got paid $4.9 million in energy credits in the month of December. Brett, thank you. Compute North, that's who I was forgetting. Thank you very much. That was the name of the hosting company that went out of business. Anyway, Riot, I feel like they've got the best of both worlds. They curtail, but they get paid for it. And the bigger the emergency, the more they get paid. So they have had a couple of times where they've made significant amount of money based on kicking energy back to the grid. Brent's saying I like them too. I think he's talking about Stronghold. You know, I wish Stronghold would get more coverage and be a higher profile story. That should be a feel good story that everybody's getting behind. But for some reason, you know, but they did manage to restructure. They had to do a massive restructuring, but they did, and they survived. So I'm hopeful they will continue on. Jamie said, I'll send you $20 if you do a deep dive on SoFi. I'm trying to remember if I did do a SoFi video a while ago. So I can check how old it is and see if it's time to update my SoFi video, because some stuff has changed since then. But I did do a SoFi video if you want to check the channel. And if that's getting old now, eventually I will do another SoFi video. I'm caught up. I caught up to the live stream, to the chat. All right. So anyway, I feel like we've been going on for a while. So anybody have any other questions or thoughts? I didn't really have too much more on my list. I had some non-Bitcoin related stuff that I wanted to talk about, but I feel like we didn't get to it. Let's see. Barry's saying he did SoFi for... Oh... Was that a members only, Barry? Okay. That might be what it is. You're right. That was a members pick. So I did do a deep dive on SoFi for the members. So if you want to see that, it's in the members section. Anybody who's interested. I forgot that was a members only video. So the members, every week, they get to pick a video for me to do. And the members picked SoFi, you know, I think like a month and a half ago. So... that's a members video that I did. So that's a part of the perks of being a member if you're interested. Let's see. Brent said, do you know what companies are going to present at the growth conference next week? I don't know. I saw a bunch of companies announce they were going to present. I think Cypher said they were going to present. Oh, and Brent is saying, I think Cypher and someone else, but haven't seen any others. So, yeah, so you probably saw the same notice I saw. I'm not sure who else. Darren says, thoughts on Riot hiring Mr. Brian Morgenstern and his connections in D.C.? I mean... I don't know how much of an impact that's going to make. It certainly can't hurt. And I think that, you know, maybe they're going to have a little more insight as to what's ahead. But I do, 2023 is going to be a year of regulations. So we can expect that, in my opinion, and in my opinion, in order, it's going to be on the cryptocurrency exchanges and on the stable coins. So I've been saying that for a while now. Obviously Congress is having a whole nother situation. If you're here in the United States, they're busy fighting amongst themselves at the moment. So we'll see when they get around to actually doing their work. Jamie says okay, I'll let you know. Thank you. Gary's saying give the SoFi video to everybody. Gary's saying also saying Bitfarms. Oh, Bitfarms, is it going to be at the conference? Okay. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm I go to the once a year. I go to Miami and do the Bitcoin conference. So I'll be waiting for that one. Whoa. Oh, see, I just pushed the wrong button again. All right. All right, so I guess that's it. Hopefully, you know, this was a good week in my opinion. Let's just zoom out and take a last look at the... So this is on the 1 day. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was this week. That must be something I have to delete because it's a dot. So, you know, it was an up week. We're a bunch of days into a little bit of a relief rally. We've got a 1 day candle that's above this critical line. So that's what I'm going to be looking for over the weekend, guys. If we can stay above this 16,875, even if we have to go retest it and bounce off of it and start to make a move upward, that's our shot at a nice little run. We're long overdue, so I would not be surprised to see that at all. Brett says we will need Bitcoin presence in DC, educate the regulators. Let's go Bitcoin. Many Bitcoin lobbyists in DC these days. I do think there are people, I believe there are people in Washington that understand Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Most of them don't, but I think there are several people who will lead the charge in this that do have some understanding of what's going on. And hopefully, you know, they will seek the counsel of people other than, you know, that were... Everybody was talking to Sam Bankman-Fried a lot, it looked like. So, you know, hopefully they don't do whatever it was that he recommended. But I do think they'll go... Usually this stuff ends up being reasonable, and it's a huge catalyst for Bitcoin. So whatever they do, they got to just do it, because it's one of the reasons Bitcoin is down where it is right now, is because we don't have those regulations. So whatever they may be, I say bring them on. They're not going to ban Bitcoin. That's something that doesn't even make sense in my opinion. So I don't even think that's on the table. I think there'll be some reasonable regulations. Gary Gensler wants to get his hands on most of the rest of the cryptocurrency world in the SEC. So we'll see if that happens. Grill said, "Thank you for all the hard work you put in. Much appreciated. Best YouTuber in the space. Have a good weekend." Thanks, Gorilla. I appreciate you. Oh, you're always on our live stream. Thanks a lot. So appreciate your support. Brenton saying Bitcoin still seems correlated to the broader market action on many days, but less so recently. Yeah, I think that it's noteworthy that Bitcoin's had its own path for the last little bit. And there is going to be a time, and I don't know when that time is. Bitcoin should not be trading with the NASDAQ. I know that it is. You know, by and large, it has been for the last decent period of time, last couple of years anyway. But to me, that's not a long-term story. Those are gonna go their separate ways and do what they do, in my opinion. I think at the end of the day, Bitcoin's going to be considered the commodity that it obviously is, in my opinion. And when some of these regulations come down and some of these uncertainties go away, I think that Bitcoin is going to take its run regardless of what the NASDAQ or any of the regular indexes do, in my opinion. Just don't know when that's going to be. And Gary's saying Bitcoin will fly once regulations are in place. Bring them on. So completely agree. Ty is saying, does anybody know how it's possible Marathon has more cash after they paid down their debt? That's not a bad question. They paid down $30 million in debt. So, I mean, to me, just by process of elimination, they did not sell any of their Bitcoin. So stock dilution would be the leading candidate right now. Brent is saying, I think it decouples at some point as well. So yeah, I'm surprised there's still, and maybe it's already started, because the last month plus, You know, Bitcoin's been taking its own journey. So we'll see. We've had a few fake outs where it looked like they were decoupling and then they went back together. But I do think in the long run, one of those is going to have nothing to do with the other one, in my opinion. If Barry's saying if there is a members pick league, I want Smurf from last Tuesday. Didn't Smurf win? You're going to get Smurf. So I think that's what I have to check my notes, but I think that's what won on last week. I'll write it down just in case. I thought that's what won. That was in the running. Barry's saying yes. Okay. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you very much, everybody. As always, thanks for the views. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the likes. All those help the algorithm. It's the reason the channel is growing a little bit at a time here, so I really appreciate it. And thanks for being on the live stream. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. I will do some videos over the weekend, so we'll see you then.